Good morning, and welcome to another Semen Retention Sunday episode here on the Regal Change account. I have my all-natural staff with me today, so I am in a very wizardy mood, in a mythological mood, and attitude towards life and the spirit of the moment. However, I want to be a bit more practical, as well as shine light on the mythological in this video. And the reason why, after 30 days to really about 90 days, this is why everything changes for you on semen retention. Now, people who have gone 30 to 90 days and have been like, well, I don't see any benefits. I don't have any benefits. There's nothing that's changed for me. I really want to examine why those people are doing what they're doing and their own relationship that they have to discipline, as well as their own relationship that they have to the soul of existence, to God. Because we did a semen retention case study in May of this year, and out of all of the subjects that we had, there were, across the board, pretty much everybody started to see that about 30 to 90 days, really about 30 days, was when the urges and the connection to their own sense of confidence and their own sense of well-being and sleep was better. After about 30 days, that was across the board what we found. Now, it wasn't, of course, true for everybody, but generally speaking, on a technical level, we had enough subjects to determine that this was the case. And if you want to check out that video, you can just look at the Regal Retention case study from around May or so, and because I made a whole video about it. Now, don't get too caught up in the streak or the days either. This proclivity that many people have to associate themselves and their own sense of value of themselves with their streak is a psyop. Now, there are many people who are part of this who don't even know that it's, this is a psyop basically. And the reason being is because they want to discourage men from practicing this type of thing. The religionists, the education system, the government, the healthcare system, they all want you to not practice this practice. They want you to believe that, watching corn is healthy, busting a nut, every other day or so is actually healthy because, well, if you have too much load down there, you're not going to be able to, function properly. It's like, no. This is all fear-based tactics and ways to encourage you to lust and I wouldn't say sin necessarily, because I don't really. I think sin only exists if you believe it exists, but it doesn't denigrate the possibility of you degrading yourself or disrespecting your relationship to the soul of existence. Because the thing is like, I don't want to start any of these debates about whether sin exists or not, but the thing is because it's not even the right question. That's what I don't like about these things. It's not even the right question. This is a religionist mindset. If you're so focused on trying to be right about your theology, good luck, because this is what I've discovered recently. Literally just 2 days ago, I was out here smoking my tobacco pipe, and I was practicing a shamanic ritual. And this shamanic ritual, all of a sudden I had this thought about how the lower chakras and your relationship inside yourself, your energies, your lower chakras, meaning your root chakra, your sacral, which is your sexual energy, and then your solar plexus, which is basically your will and your confidence and your connection to the soul of existence, to God. This projects the timeline that you're on in the physical plane of consciousness in this physical world that we live in. Now, what this means is that the upper chakras, the throat chakra, the third eye, and the crown, these chakras are going to project your value of the timeline. So the lower chakras are going to showcase the cost of your timeline, which you can have a high cost or a low cost. It's not really important, but it is important. It's the same thing with the upper chakras. You can have a high value or a low value. If you have a low value timeline, basically you're just not as connected to yourself or to the soul of existence as you could be. But if you are on a high cost timeline, then you're hyper connected to your animalistic instincts in the spirit of the time. It's not a bad thing. It's just that's what it is. Like, this is one of the reasons why psychopaths, for example, psychopaths who are entitled to exploit naive people, which are most of the people in our institutions nowadays, it seems like. I'm not saying it's all of them, but it seems like a lot, And these psychopaths who exploit the naivete of individuals and feel entitled to do so, right? They feel entitled to do so. They are hyper disagreeable, but they're very industrious and they're very conscientious, but they're not very open to new experience or new ideas, and they're not very compassionate. Well, in that instance, yeah, they're going to try to do everything they can to ensure that you're not who you set out to be. They're going to make sure that your dreams do not come true. They're going to make sure that you, with all your might and with all your capacity for life, you do not become who you're meant to be. And it's like, well, who am I meant to be? Right? That's a lot of people's next question. Well, who am I meant to be? Well, this is this is an answer that semen retention will be able to give you, because I can't tell you, like, people have asked me, Thaddeus, because I'm 4 years plus on semen retention, right? They've said, Thaddeus, why do you do this still? Like, don't you want a girlfriend? Don't you want to get married or whatever? And again, it's like, I don't think that's the right question. I think you can tell a lot about the quality of a person's life based off the questions that they ask. And I see there's a fine difference in my Godlike Mastery offer that I have. The Godlike Mastery initiates that I have, their questions, the way that they look at their life, it's so drastically different. It's so drastically different than the people who are just casually messaging me on my DMs on Instagram or whatever. And they're like, hey, bro, what do you think about this? Or they like send me a video that they want to know my thoughts on. And it's just like, who cares? Who cares? But the questions that I get, it's almost like this, right? This is something that I learned with entrepreneurship in general. In general, with entrepreneurship, the people who want a low-cost timeline, but they want a high-value timeline, but they're not willing to get the value, like they're not willing to do the work to get the value of a high-value timeline, they're going to be the ones that cause the most issues for you. They're going to be the ones that they're very wishy-washy, and they're not very stable, and they don't really appreciate the value of what you have to offer. Whereas people who are willing to invest in not only in you but also in themselves, they always, like, they're like the least amount of trouble. Like, I have a Godlike Mastery Initiate right now where in the Godlike Mastery, I offer my my phone number so that in case, hey, look, a squirrel just chilling out. I think that's a squirrel, right? Yeah. Couldn't see with the shadows exactly, but like in my Godlike Mastery offer, I offer the ability for people to message me through text 24/7, and I'll respond to them as soon as possible, because I want to make sure that these individuals, because of their investment, I want to protect that integrity of their investment and honor it to the best of my ability. And the kinds of questions that they have, especially the men who are on semen retention in the Godlike Mastery, the kinds of questions that they came to the table with are so much more profound and thought-provoking than some, random person who they kind of just but I just want the benefits, bro. No. It doesn't work like that. Like, you don't get to be half in on your devotion to the soul of existence and expect the soul of existence to just give you everything. Imagine this, right? If God really was a person, let's say, I'm not saying he is, I'm not saying he isn't, I'm just hypothetically speaking, because Aristotle once said, it takes a sign of an educated mind to entertain an idea without accepting it. So let's just entertain an idea without accepting it and calm down with the theological debates. If God was a person, if God was, a being, right? You think that God, the soul of existence, would give you, this person who doesn't want to actually put in the effort to do what it takes to become who they say they want to become? Or would God give this other person who maybe the cards are stacked against them? Maybe they don't feel like they're the best out there, but they're gonna fight. They don't really care about winning or losing. They want to fight. Who do you think God is going to give his or her powers of life and everlasting life to in that situation? The person who seems like they have it all, but they're not willing to do the work, or the person who's going hard no matter what? They're willing to fight no matter what. They don't care who they're fighting. They just want to fight. If God's going to give his powers of battle to anybody, who is it going to be? It's not, of course it's going to be the person that just wants to fight, because the other person doesn't really care enough. And this is where the mythology comes into play a little bit, because like the hero's journey, for example, is the prime archetypal story for masculinity, right? It's the creme de la creme of the masculine imperative and the masculine adventure, you could say. So this masculine adventure of life, in order to fully harness it, there's a series of events that Joseph Campbell has talked a lot about. And I of course it's a theory, but I think it's a very probable theory. It's just like my Regal timeline theory. The Regal timeline theory that I have for the Regal Change old timers out there, it's just a theory. It's not necessarily set in stone, but because I'm not the I know that I'm capable of being fallible, but I do everything in my power to ensure that I'm not, because I don't want to be somebody who is talking about these things and hasn't actually researched them. Like, that's another thing that you'll get online is, like, I don't care about some of these people who are anonymous. Like, if you're an anonymous person online and you're trying to correct people and all that, and I don't even pay attention to you, because you don't even have the gall to, like, you're too much of a coward to even portray your face online and to portray your real name online, or even your brand or whatever it is, like your business. Like, you're just an anonymous person and you don't even know who you really are. So why should anybody listen to you? Because I know who I am. I'm nobody. I'm nobody special. And yet that's exactly what makes me special. I know it's a paradox. I know that this is a much deeper thing when it comes to this sense of truth and being. To live the truth and let die what is false, there's something much deeper that goes on. And semen retention, all I can say is after 30 to 90 days, your life changes because of a few things. Number one, you develop a kind of discipline that you didn't know you were capable of. Number two, you start to see the world a bit different. If you actually have intentions to grow closer to the soul of existence, and even if you're not, like if you're an atheist and you're like, well, I want to try semen retention, will semen retention give me benefits? Again, wrong question. Wrong question. It's not the right question, man. The right question would be, why should I even practice semen retention to begin with? Why? Well, no matter how you look at it, do you want to, like, no matter how you look at the theology, do you want to be a depleted coomer? Do you want to harness yourself? Do you want to be more in control of your own fleshly desires, or do you want to just live hedonistically? I'm not saying there's anything wrong with hedonism. I'm not saying there's anything right, okay? I'm not here to judge, but I'm also not here to, encourage mediocrity. I'm not here to encourage cowardice. I'm not here to encourage this proclivity that people have to want to say things, and then when they get confronted, they cower like little girls, just when they get confronted, or they just want attention. The only reason that some of you have a voice on any type of social media out there is because other people had to say something first. You don't get heard unless other people do, because you don't have anything worthy to say. Maybe, just maybe, your sacrifice, like remember in Batman Begins, when Batman thinks he beat Liam Neeson's character, and Liam Neeson's character says, "You haven't beaten me, you've just sacrificed your footing for a killing stroke." And then he puts Batman under the ice. That's us on semen retention, with our staff, with our full sack. We're like, y'all think that you beat us. We're just getting started. You sacrificed everything for nothing. And that is exactly why you fail this practice. You are not actually seeking. You're not actually wanting truth. You're just wanting something to gain. And guess what? There's nothing to gain. And yet there's everything to gain. It's the ultimate paradox. And only if you understand the power of letting go of who you think you are and who you're supposed to be, will you see how being to its totality in the spirit of the moment is going to ground you and elevate you simultaneously. So, with that being said, apply to the Godlike Mastery offer or join the Regal Academy. Peace be with you. Be blessed. Until next time.